Y'all, it is Taylor Bridges back with another video, another review of Married at First Sight, season 16, episode 15. This episode is titled Whiskey a No-No. This episode was so all over the place, so my review probably will be too. So please bear with me, but I have it in order of events, at least. Devon Franklin is finally on the show. Devon meets with Jasmine first. Jasmine has reached her breaking point, and it's about time. Jasmine says she's sure Aries can feel how she's feeling, and I think that's stupid. Use your words, Jasmine. The same way you express yourself to the women is the same way you should have been expressing yourself to your husband. Her and Aries have both been tiptoeing around each other pretty much. And Jasmine, I think, is just too scared to voice her opinion because she doesn't want to push Aries away. And Aries doesn't like Jasmine like that, so he's not going to take the initiative to probe deeper into understanding her emotions. So neither is going to say anything. They're just going to continue to live in this passive-aggressive environment. And that's just a waste of time. Jasmine says she thinks her and Aries are compatible. And I don't agree, because they're not even like meshing well as friends. I think they're both nice people. I don't think they're like outright mistreating each other in their shared space, but like they're not, I don't know. Their communication styles are extremely different, and they both have a lot of healing to do. And I'd say that's what y'all have in common the most, the amount of healing. If Aries were attracted to Jasmine, I do believe that they would have had a decent time together. Since they're both pretty comfortable opening up and, talking in front of the cameras and whatnot, but they wouldn't have ended up together regardless. They don't mesh well, from what I see. So I still stand by Aries and Kirsten and Shaq and Jasmine being better matches for each other. Even though I do believe Shaq and Kirsten are a better match now later on in the season than I thought they were in the beginning of the season, I still believe that Kirsten and Aries and Jasmine and Shaq would have been better matches for the show, my opinion. Jasmine says an issue in the marriage arose when Aries was getting deeper than Jasmine was, and her life experiences haven't been traumatic enough and dark enough compared to Aries. But that, to me, that just didn't explain how the issue arose. I don't understand how it's an issue that he's getting deep and what is the issue? Is the issue that you didn't understand because you don't relate to those experiences? Is the issue that you were being dismissive? What was the issue? I'm not too sure myself. Devon asks if Aries verbally confirmed to Jasmine that she wasn't getting deep enough, and she never said yes or no. So I'm just still not quite sure what the issue is, unless it's Jasmine who finds it to be an issue. Because if Aries is opening up and he hasn't told her verbally that it's an issue that she can't relate, then I'm just confused. Why did she say that an issue arose between them two based on her not having similar experiences to her? I'm not saying I'm not saying what she's saying is invalid. I just don't understand why. I just don't understand what that means. Regardless of attraction, they weren't going to make it, right? Because as I mentioned, they have very different communication styles. And you just, look how she just said, a problem arose because Aries was getting deep and she wasn't, due to her not having traumatic experiences. And one, getting deep isn't always tied to confessing traumatic experiences. Y'all can discuss a plethora of things unrelated to trauma to have a deep conversation. UFOs, politics, what it was like in college, mental health, there's a lot of things. Two, you haven't communicated any of this to Aries yet. So he doesn't even have a chance to do something about it. Yet you want your words, you say you want to connect on all levels. And I think Jasmine just wants to live in La La Land. She probably has endured trauma. She just either doesn't recognize it or she's just in denial because she has stressed her having a poor dating and relationship history. And she expressed being bullied throughout life. That seems pretty traumatic to me. or at least I can see how some trauma has incurred. And of course, there is a chance somehow that she really just doesn't have any trauma to discuss and share. But I think it's more so along the lines of she either is in denial or she's just unable to identify it. But all yet and still, she's expecting Aries to read her mind, which is unfair. Jasmine isn't speaking her mind. And what she's doing is she's sweeping things under the rug. And she's been doing that since she was a little girl, her words. And right after I typed what I had just said previously, about Jasmine possibly like with the bullying and her upbringing, those seem to somehow be able, like they seemed to somehow incur trauma for her. Devon actually affirms that Jasmine has endured plenty of trauma thus far. Devon asks Jasmine what are the things keeping her from telling Aries exactly how she feels and asking the exact questions she wants to know the answer to. And Jasmine says she's scared of Aries' response. But wouldn't it be better at this point to just get the truth as soon as possible to save you the heartache in the long run? Wouldn't you want to know where his head is really at? Or does Jasmine, pardon me, does Jasmine want to stay in a relationship and live in delusion and have Aries just tell her what she wants to hear? And I think Jasmine's just so image obsessed, and it's to her detriment in moments like this. I think she just wants control of how this all looks, and Jasmine, it looks crazy no matter how you flip it or reverse it at this point. So might as well get what you came here to do at least, or leave. Devon then meets with Aries, and I was interested in this talk. Right off rip, Aries identifies the biggest hurdle is the lack of attraction. There we go. Straight up. Instead of like Jasmine trying to, the issue arose with us having different life experiences. No. Since day one, the issue has been the lack of attraction. It's okay. It's just embarrassing for Jasmine, I'm sure, to say out loud. But sis, you're the one still in the process. So whatever. Devon Franklin. I think it's Devon. Devon asks, what does Aries find appealing about Jasmine? And he says, again, all these attributes that don't really have anything to do with how he sees her romantically. But he does say she has a calming presence, and that is a cool compliment, I guess. But remember, just last episode, he was saying how he was turned on by Jasmine turning up on him and showing her angry side. So, and then when Jasmine gives it to him towards the end of the episode, it's going to be a problem. Devon asks Aries if he's given the same effort to his marriage that he does to his job. And of course he doesn't. There's no incentive to make this marriage work past decision day. They just have to collect 200 and make it to decision day. Any of us can do that. Like at this point, I could get on there. And I actually have a man. But you clearly don't have to kiss, hug, be intimate with, talk to, hold hands with. You don't even have to sleep in the same apartment. Hang out with the person you're married to. You don't have to do anything. Married at First Sight continues to hire people who have no real desire to be immersed in a real marriage. So shoot, let some of us in relationships get on the show to secure a bag. I can get on there and do like Clint and Gina. I can get on there and do just like them. Aries is not like affected in real life if this marriage to Jasmine doesn't work out. Why is it that Devon, Dr. Pia, Dr. Pepper, Pastor Gal, and everyone else, why don't they realize that they cannot change this man's attraction to her? Aries obviously knows there's more to marriage than attraction, but he's just not able to get over it. So they need to stop trying to rationalize it for him. Aries is intelligent and he is well aware. He's saying, while I'm aware of what I need to do, I'm not willing to do it, but I'll pretend to be more willing than I am so I can secure this check. That's it. And I think the experts need to let it go because it's like embarrassing. Stop trying to force this man to be into Jasmine. I think Jasmine deserves better than that. Devon asks what needs to happen for Aries, for him to get there. And before Aries answers, I already know the answer is physical attraction. And Jasmine can't do anything to control that. Aries says he wants deeper conversations, which is a concern that both he and Jasmine share, and he wants intimacy, or at least he says he does. Because he hasn't, not once, attempted to romanticize Jasmine or put her in the mood. And I'm just not interested in the experts every episode trying to convince Aries to be attracted to Jasmine. Why does Jasmine deserve to have a spouse out of all of the people on earth? Why does she deserve to have a spouse that, you know, all these people have to force to be attracted to her? How is that helpful to her self-love and her self-esteem? How is that helpful? Devon wants Aries to verbalize his commitment to Jasmine. And once again, it's another homework assignment that's full of words. A toddler can do that. So what is Aries going to do? He's going to do the homework and he's going to do it well. But it won't change the fact that he is not attracted to Jasmine. And that is okay. Why isn't that clear? Nicole and Chris. Chris tells Nicole to let him know essentially what he can do to be better for her. Nicole says that if she says she wants space, she wants Chris to not let her have that space. And that is that toxic behavior that Nicole is used to in her previous relationships. Because I see a very clear slippery slope with something like that. You do not give someone permission to outright overstep your boundary. Instead, Nicole needs to be responsible for her own emotions and communicate what she needs. If she needs space in the moment, say that. If she's upset in the moment but doesn't want space, say that. It's not Chris's responsibility to overstep your boundaries and regulate your emotions. This reminds me of how Nicole said that she can call herself thick, but Chris can't. Nicole's boundaries are inconsistent. And she's clearly unsure of what boundaries she even wants in place. And that's not healthy. And if you're still figuring out what boundaries you want to set, take the time to do that. But just don't give anyone permission to blatantly overstep the boundary you set for yourself. To me, that just seems like a very dangerous precedent to set. And I'm glad that Chris agrees that this is very confusing. Nicole, go to therapy. No one has the time to decipher what you really mean when you're saying how you feel. I thought that was just ridiculous. Kirsten and Shaq. Kirsten was working out. I literally laughed out loud. Go Kirsten, working out. She looks so cute. She's FaceTiming Shaq's mom and requests insight on how to be there for Shaq during this stressful time for him. Shaq's mom says that Kirsten just needs to be more supportive. And Shaq already confirmed this to Kirsten last episode. I don't know why Kirsten is acting like Shaq has an outright, like she's just so confused. Like Shaq has an outright stated his concerns in the marriage. Kirsten just glosses over his concerns. So I think that has Shaq way less willing to share as much as he did previously. Because it seems like Kirsten hears what she wants to hear. And she's emotionally disconnected in some way. Not totally, but definitely in some way. Because I just can't see how she doesn't realize that her lack of support was a big deal to him. And that he just needs time to process it and move forward without her trying to brush stuff under the rug and, forcing him to put a smile on for the cameras. Kirsten says she's been sending Shaq affirmations, which is lovely. But it's clear that that's not Shaq's love language. That's not what appeals to him. She was telling him how much she missed him while he was on the work trip. And that meant nothing compared to her actually being there. Shaq is done with the words part, I think. I think Shaq wants action. And I think Kirsten is ignoring what he says he wants. But a lot of people do this in relationships, though. If you love giving gifts, but that's not what speaks to your partner's love language, desires, it's all for naught. So you need to be present and attentive enough to catch what it is and how it is they receive love. But I want to be clear. I do believe Kirsten, and I do believe she likes Shaq and has a true concern and care for him. I think she's being fake for the cameras at times, but I do think she has grown to like Shaq somewhat. Also, I understand Shaq is under a lot of stress, but what is Shaq doing to show up for Kirsten? Because this can't be all about what Shaq needs and what Kirsten isn't doing. Is Shaq giving Kirsten the consistent quality time that she stated that she needs? Clint loves to cook, and I think it's wonderful. I have it myself. Having a man who loves to cook, it takes so much pressure off of the other person, especially if both of y'all are cooks and both of y'all like to cook. It takes the pressure off one another. It makes the dishes so much, the foods, the dinners and dishes much more varietal and interesting. My man is Grenadian from Brooklyn, and I'm from the deep South, Houston, Texas. And we both love to cook, so the kitchen is just always flavorful. So I'm glad I don't have to cook by myself, because, oh my gosh, I'll be exhausted. All the couples are meeting up at a whiskey tasting spot. Eris asks the ladies what they talked about when they were all together, and Jasmine admits to breaking down. The ladies are expressing their frustration, and Nicole makes it her business, in her unprofessional opinion, to tell Eris she needs him to try harder in this marriage. And this is how you know Nicole isn't used to anything. Miss Cigarette Burn, Miss Please Ignore My Boundaries, thinks she's the expert on marriage now. They all discuss the issue with letting things, build up over time without expressing it. And Shaq admits he's been that guy as well, looking all put together externally, but battling things internally. And Nicole just won't get over herself. She thinks she's a Yandler, right? She tells Shaq to rely on his wife for the support and safe space that he needs. And Nicole insists that Kirsten is fully capable of being this good resource for Shaq. And this ends up being totally triggering for Shaq, because Nicole doesn't know what she's talking about, and she needs to worry about her marriage. So Shaq gets up from the table. Kirsten follows behind Shaq, and he's upset that Kirsten had nothing to say in the moment when Nicole's like, yeah, Kirsten's going to show up and be your support system. You need to lean on your wife, yada, yada. And I don't know, Shaq. I feel like Nicole butting in and putting words in Kirsten's mouth was a much bigger issue than Kirsten not saying anything. What was Kirsten supposed to even say in that moment? Like, I understand he's triggered, but I think he let his emotions and built up tension cause him to take this out on Kirsten because he's triggered. But at that table with all those couples, I don't think Kirsten did anything wrong. Turns out in Memphis, he found on the last trip he went on that Kirsten didn't make it to, he found out he wouldn't be graduating on time. Of course, wanting Kirsten's support is normal and valid. He's already expressed that. We got it. But going on a trip and receiving unexpected bad news was not something either of them prepared for, or could have been prevented. If you'd agree to go somewhere with me, then flake last minute, and then while heading to that place by myself, God forbid, a terrible accident occurs, I can't be on some, see, if you were there, this wouldn't have happened. Or, see, if you were there, you could have been there for me. None of the events occurred due to Kirsten's absence. But yes, I do understand wanting your partner around when just in case you do receive news like that, or just any news, period, good or bad. I totally understand that. But I just felt like he was just kind of going in and in, like that night when they were all whiskey tasting. I just think he was just triggered by the comment, and I just think the emotions were brought up again, and then he like retook it out on her, and I don't think that's fair. Like, they talked about it and I give her a chance, you know what I mean? Kirsten thinks it would have been sufficient to just call her and tell her what was going on while in Memphis. But again, I don't think Shaq's love language is talking more than it is active service, showing up. So I wish Kirsten would just stop excusing it away. You know what I mean? Stop. Well, I wish you would have just called me. No, that's not what he wanted to do. That's not what made him feel supported. You flaked on your husband last minute, and even when he pleaded for you to still come with him, you didn't. So I understand precisely why Shaq is upset. I also wish Shaq would stop harping on it so much, though. Y'all have talked about it. She's asked what she can do to move forward. Now allow her to show up moving forward. Don't keep harping on it if y'all discuss it instead of plan for the future. She agreed to attend all the events he ever wants to attend. Done. Leave it at that. Let the next event happen and then see whether she keeps her word or not. Kirsten wants Shaq to be assertive. So When they get back to the table, Shaq blurts out to everyone that he and Kirsten have consummated their marriage. I was just as hype as everyone else. I was so happy for them. I was proud of them, okay? Because regardless of all the critique I have for them, where they started versus where they are now, I am genuinely shocked and I am pleasantly surprised. So, go ahead, Shaq and Kirsten. And not Pound Town Clint. That's so gross. Do not say that. That's gross. They all get up for a line dancing lesson with Priya. Everyone was in sync. Then Clint breaks out with his solo get up, and I wasn't mad at it. I like when people just let their bodies move, you know. As someone with impeccable rhythm, I love seeing the not so rhythm friendly enjoy themselves. So I was like, go Clint, go Clint. Aries is dancing with the instructor Priya, but it looked like he was just standing there and she reached out to get him to dance. That's what it looked like. Jasmine is just standing there angrily and then storms off saying she's done. I don't know. That's what it looked like to me. But maybe Aries did specifically choose to dance with the instructor. I really couldn't tell. Aries goes outside to talk to Jasmine and tells her that the instructor was just pretty much gesturing for him, to participate because he had the worst dance moves of everyone. He mentions the instructor is not even his type, but I don't see how that part, Aries, was relevant because his wife isn't his type either. Jasmine isn't your type either. So you could have kept that comment. He acknowledges the optics, but I just think Jasmine was just being a little testy and she's just a little insecure. You know what I mean? So I think if her and Aries were getting along, she wouldn't have seen it as big of an issue. Like, it's not like they were humping. The lady was an instructor trying to engage one of the classmates, you know? Plus, how far was Aries really going to take it with you standing right there, Jasmine? So Jasmine and Aries leave, and I just feel like for someone who's trying so hard to be attractive to their partner, Jasmine sure has an unattractive attitude towards Aries when she doesn't get her way with him. When he doesn't behave how she wants him to behave. She almost snaps at him every time she's a little bit uncomfortable. And that's that buildup. Really, Jasmine should be more upset with herself way before she can have any smoke for Aries. Aries is actually handling her like a gentleman, even though he's not even attracted to her. And so now Aries spends the evening sleeping on the couch. Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal are visiting each couple to give them more advice. Jasmine and Aries are first. Before seeing the scene, I promised myself I wouldn't acknowledge any more talk about why they're not having sex and why they're not into each other. I'm over it. And it's not entertaining to see these experts constantly trying to force this man to want this woman. Jasmine confirms the lion dancer went over to Aries. Jasmine could have handled that much, much better while still being upset. And I agree with Aries. The storm out was just not warranted. Dr. Pepper asks where are they headed and if they're done and do they see a possibility for the marriage. I was begging for them to just say, no, there's no hope, we're done. But Aries says yes. Aries says there are moments it feels like they're dating. And he'd like those moments to last longer. And now Jasmine is back smiling like a chess cat. Jasmine needs some D. That's why she's so hot and cold every day. Like Aries, at this point, just please give her some D. It's what she needs at this point. What I don't like is how Jasmine is letting Aries control their narrative. She's only in when Aries admits to being in. But when he doesn't behave like he's in, she's no longer in until he tells her again that he's in. He's going to continue to tell you what you want to hear. Jasmine should be judging his actions instead of his feelings and what he's saying. They are a week from decision day, and they're having to be told to hug when one of them comes in from work. Like, be for real. Nicole and Kirsten are lingerie shopping. Nicole is self-conscious about her body. Wanting to change a few things here and there, you know, through lifestyle and diet changes is one thing. But a flat out low self-esteem is really difficult to navigate as a partner. I am just saying. Kirsten was there as a good girlfriend, being emotional support and encouragement for Nicole. And Kirsten starts demonstrating this like sexy walk and undressing, but you cannot convince me that she does any of that for Shaq. Okay, I'm not interested in Gina and Clint's conversation with Dr. Pepper. They are just friends. That's all they'll ever be. Kirsten and Shaq with Devon Franklin. Devon asks Shaq if he feels supported in the marriage, and Shaq says no. Devon reminds them that unspoken expectations are relationship killers. And I believe that statement is so relevant to their relationship. They don't really communicate about a lot of stuff. Shaq says the type of support he'd like is for Kirsten to be invested in who he is so she can appreciate his efforts. And I can understand that, but I also understand Kirsten expressing how nothing seems to be enough. Like, you can't pick and choose, Shaq. Kirsten hasn't not shown up at all now. She may not have shown up at that most recent trip, but she hasn't just been absent. And I do believe Kirsten has good intentions towards, being there for Shaq and supporting him in his endeavors. So I think he was just, I do agree, like, what's enough now? Like, okay, we're not going to continue this complaining. I hate when people do that. But that's it. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my video, and I will catch you in the next episode. We are almost through with this season, y'all. Hang in with me. We are almost done. Thank y'all. Bye.